Hello and welcome to Movie Film Studios, the only podcast that takes you inside the mind of two film studio executives as we unravel and then re-ravel the best that Hollywood has to offer. I'm Isaac.
And I'm AJ, and this week our big-eared elephant takes flight as he seeks to find the missing link between apes and humans so that he can market a new range of toys. But before we get into something new, it's time for something old as we check in on our last feature in Box Office Report.
So last week we released the film Black Tab, which was kind of a double feature, Pixar-style short at the start, which is a black tabby cat attempts to find its way home through the mean streets of Saigon. And then the longer feature, which is a much more serious, in-depth look at the world of video piracy spanning 2.5 decades.
Yes.
How did that go at the box office this week?
Couple of things happened. So Black Tab was the name of both films, as we just mentioned. The cutesy family 2-minute 30 film that we had at the start, the family-friendly Black Tab, off the charts in terms of ratings.
Right, okay.
Loved it. Solid, 90 out of 100s on Rotten Tomatoes. There's talk of, being nominated for, best short film.
Oh, really?
Just absolutely went bananas. The second feature, though, oh boy, did that not go over well. And it gets even worse. So the film that's about piracy is now the most pirated film of all time.
I was worried about this.
This is despite the fact that because the film was doing so poorly in the box office, I decided to put it on Mufuzawudda for free.
Right.
So you can just go in there, watch it for free, don't need to sign up, don't need to do anything. People still pirated it.
Really?
They avoided the site and just went to their piracy channels of choice,
torrent
BitTorrent, and someone started Kazaa up again just so they could distribute
Napster.
just to distribute our film on it. And it's just if you thought Dallas Buyers Club was bad in terms of the amount of people that pirated it, you have no idea. Some people just pirated it 10 times
just for the sake
of it. Yeah. So this has left us in some very dire financial straits because the problem with a 2-minute 30 film, even if it's successful, you can't air it on TV. You can't do anything with it because you can't jam ads into it. You know how when you syndicate a film for TV, you can chop it up, put in ads through it and sell all that space for advertising material. A 2-minute 30 film, you can't do that. There's no space whatsoever for ads, so we can't make money off it.
So is there any way, because we did a lot of product placement in Black Tab.
Yes.
And I know that's sort of based on the amount of people that view it. Pepsi will give a certain amount of money because we have the Pepsi vending machines. Do we still get that money through the pirate? Because we can track those numbers. We can say, hey, Pepsi, 3.5 million people downloaded and watched this film. Surely, we're indoctrinating them with this sort of brainwashing product placement. That's got to be worth some money.
You would think it goes that way, but as the piracy industry has told us year after year, if you pirate something, you're a criminal. So what people are doing now is they're just stealing Pepsi. They're stealing
Pepsi
they're
as
stealing
well.
Pepsi. They're stealing everything that we put in there product placement-wise is now being stolen. This is why we're in such huge trouble.
Oh, right.
We've really created a monster with this one. I really hope that somehow we can recuperate our costs, but it's a lot of cost to recuperate.
Okay.
All right, on to this week in trailers. And we've got a little bit of a kids animated special for you this week.
I mean, it's always lovely when you log onto YouTube and type in new release film trailers, and there's 4 or 5 of exactly the same type of film. And we're like, well, Hollywood, you're not being terribly original, but at least you're giving us the opportunity to theme the episode.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And they're all great. Don't get me wrong. So anyway, let's kick it off with the one that's been on everyone's lips this week, which is Pokemon Detective Pikachu, starring Ryan Reynolds, Justice Smith, Ken Watanabe, and directed by Rob Letterman.
Welcome to Rhyme City, a celebration of the harmony between humans and Pokemon.
Tim, your dad was a legend in this precinct. If you were anything like your dad...
I'm not.
I remember. You wanted to be a Pokemon trainer when you were young.
Yeah, that didn't really work out. Someone there? Whoever you are, I know how to use this.
Jeez.
Here we go.
I know, you can't understand me, but put down the stapler or I will electrocute you.
Did you just talk?
Whoa. Did you just understand me?
Oh my god, you can understand me!
Stop!
I've been so lonely!
They try to talk to me all the time. All they hear is Pika Pika.
You can hear him, right?
Pika Pika! Yeah, Pika Pika Pika, he's adorable.
You're adorable. They can't understand me, kid.
Can no one else hear him?
This rings so many of my childhood bells.
I know.
It's so familiar, the characters, but it's also at the same time incredibly strange because you've only ever really seen these guys as the manga sort of animated style of character, and they're occupying this weird space between semi-real and still semi-cutesy. It's a 3D animated characters occupying the real world.
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds sounds really weird as Pikachu, but then there's these moments where obviously it cuts to everyone else can only hear him as Pika Pika.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I didn't want to like this film.
I know.
I thought it was a bad idea, and the trailer sold me on the idea.
See it. I want to see it. This is weird because it's the first live action Pokemon film there's been ever. And the first Pokemon game came out in 1996, I believe. So it's well over 20 years now that we've had Pokemon in our lives. I grew up with it as well. And they're only now just getting around to the idea of like, maybe we should make a live action film out of this. So Detective Pikachu is actually based on a spin-off game called Detective Pikachu. And I believe in the game that Pikachu can actually talk. And that Pikachu goes around solving crimes. It's got a bit of a Sherlock Holmes.
He's wearing a Deerstalker hat, I imagine it's supposed to be Sherlock Holmes-ish.
This one goes for a bit more of a personal story. So the lead human character, Justice Smith, his dad...
See, that's his actual real name, as opposed to like...
That's his name.
In a film that's called Detective Pikachu, having a character called Justice Smith might fit in, but no, this is the actor's actual name.
And his name in the film is Tim Goodman. Like... Anyway, so Justice Smith's character, his dad he's gone missing. They presume he's dead. But between Detective Pikachu and Ken Watanabe, who plays a senior detective, I guess, or a lieutenant or whatever, they're like, no, your dad might actually be alive. And they try to unravel this mystery. The twist is, as we said, only the main character can understand Pikachu. Everyone else kind of sees him as the original Pokemon. It's kind of like, do you remember that SBS comedy series Wilfred? Which was
I thought you were going to say Inspector Rex, but that's right. I do remember both of those.
So in Wilfred, a guy has a dog, and to that guy, it's like another guy dressed in a dog suit. To everyone else, it's an actual dog.
And they can communicate with one another in English, but no one else sees him the same way.
But remade in the US with Elijah Wood as the...
Same guy who played Wilfred. Both versions are actually quite pretty enjoyable. Good, so.
But there's like weird bits in that one where like this guy in a dog suit like catches dead birds and brings them up to the... I don't think that Detective Pikachu's going to go down that road, but it's a similar kind of like only one person can see the truth.
Obviously, that's the central conceit of the film, is that if one of the characters can understand Pikachu and no one else can...
Yep.
And then they've obviously added the fluff of, is my dad alive or not? And no one cares about the story. We just want to see Charizard doing Fire Blast. We just want to see...
You see Charizard, you see Jigglypuff, you see...
Mr. Mime, Psyduck, Greninja.
Bulbasaur. There's a whole bunch of like your favourites in there.
Squirtle's on a missing poster, but we don't actually get to see him in real life.
Good. There's one thing I want to raise about this this trailer though. You know, other films have done this where like a character speaks English to the audience or to another person in the film, and then to everyone else they're not speaking English, they're speaking something that they can't understand. The thing is though, as when you're watching Pikachu do its like talk and do its actions, it's moving its mouth and making facial expressions in a way that makes it look human.
Yes.
So what does that look like to other people? There's that disconnect has never sat well with me. So either like Justice Smith is imagining him talking in such a way that he's making all these elaborate facial movements and can like wink and smile and like twist his mouth in a way that makes those noises. And to everyone else, it just looks like he's like flapping his mouth open and closed.
I mean, because that is like the central part of the story, the crutch that it falls on, I don't know if they're going to explain it at some point.
I doubt it.
Or whether it's just like, no, you just have to buy into this idea. We know you buy into a world where there's monsters who fight one another for sport because we've been selling millions and millions of games for the last 25 years. So we don't even care if you buy into that or not. We know you're on board with that.
Yeah.
There's just like one little extra step we need you to get past to buy into the film. I mean, there's a reason why this has been doing the rounds around social media, why it's been constantly shared, because it's an idea that should be bad that looks really good. So,
I know,
who knows?
exactly. It could be one of those like Lego movie style ideas where it's like, this film shouldn't be good, but it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, see that later next year. Okay, on to the next trailer for this week's episode, which is Ugly Dolls, starring a veritable laundry list of American musical talent, including Kelly Clarkson, Pitbull, Nick Jonas, and Gabriel Iglesias. There, that'll do. And directed by Kelly Asbury.
This summer, you're invited to a magical place where weird is celebrated, strange is special, and beauty is more than meets the eye.
Good morning, Uglyville!
Hello, gorgeous. Let's check out how you look today. Short and stubby, nubby teeth out on full display. You're pinkish red, got this thing on your head, and whoa, girl, you couldn't look better. 'Cause there's a scrambled sun and the day glows bright, and the mood couldn't be any brighter. And that's a slam bang city goes.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Oh man, this film feels so sickly sweet.
Yeah.
It feel like it really gave me the sense of Trolls, where they're like, we want it to be cutesy, we want it to be musical.
Yep.
And it just cranked everything up to maximum.
Yep. I don't think there's ever been another film that is so blatantly a marketing exercise in trying to sell toys than there is in Ugly Dolls. Because I'm thinking of like Transformers, right? Like Transformers at least was a fun cartoon, had a story, had like action, had sort of everything that you could ever want in a toy to not even toy to live action, toy to cartoon adaptation. This is like, we have a bunch of toys. They're all got like wacky designs, so we're just going to chuck them into a movie and let them interact with each other. There is no story in this film.
I mean, the basic premise is that there is a town where everyone is like somewhat ugly or misshapen, but they're incredibly happy about it, and all they do is just go around singing about how happy they all are.
Yep.
And then they do that for a good 5/6 of the film, and then for the tiny little sliver at the end, they go, actually, we're going to do a story where they go to a world called like Perfectville, and they don't fit in because they're all misshapen and weird, one-eyed monsters.
Yeah, Perfectville is sort of like orderly concrete slabs and houses, and everything's sort of very neat and proper and very dull. And I assume it's going to be a whole like, learn to embrace the ugly side in you and you'll see color everywhere. I hate this.
Yeah.
I hate it so much.
And they're also incredibly forceful. Like, here is the one popular catchy song which is going to be in the film.
Yeah.
And we're just going to have all of our Kelly Clarksons and Gabriel Iglesias and Pitbulls and Nick Jonases sing it. So it's like, before they even tell you who's in the film, it's original songs by this list of artists. And then later on, they're just like starring, and they just list the same people again.
It's the same people.
It's at Pitbull at the end of both of them. I'm like, Pitbull, you have no place in this film. What are you doing?
Interestingly, this film is produced by Troublemaker Studios, whom you may not know, but the owner of Troublemaker Studios is Robert Rodriguez.
Oh, right.
Of Sin City, of...
From Dusk Till Dawn.
All those films. And also the Spy Kids franchise
He did do Spy Kids.
That's an eclectic studio.
Yeah.
This film is we desperately need money so we can continue making films with, what's his name? The guy from Machete.
Danny Trejo.
Yes, that's it. This is what this film is. It's like, we need to make more of these films that don't really make us any money. Here's how we can do it. We will like jump on board with an established toy line. I'm pretty sure it's already a series of toys.
Is it?
Yeah.
If it's not, it's in production right now.
100%. They made the toys before they made the film. There is no doubt in my mind about it. And this is the kind of film that will just like give you bank if you are running low on it.
It also feels very much like a pair of film studio executives, very similar to us, watched Trolls and then sat down for 40 minutes and discussed what can we do that is similar enough to Trolls that we can make that money, but not really that much of an original idea, but different enough that they can't sue us. That's just...
I would say that 40 minutes is generous.
Oh dear! I'd say that 20 of that is like contacting their manufacturers in China and getting the thing off the ground. To be fair, like we've ragged on this trailer. I quite like the material texture, the 3D rendered material texture of these characters has a bit of a real life.
Yeah, because they need to look like the toys. That's
exactly.
Why.
But like, they've never really sort of, I suppose the technology exists now to render it in that way.
Yeah.
But in previous iterations, like you look at the original sort of Woody and Buzz and they're just a little bit too glossy.
Oh, yeah.
But this looks very much like, hey, we could manufacture something that looks pretty much exactly like this from real world materials.
That's part of like, and I suppose like Toy Story sort of originally started that in terms of like making characters that like, formatted in such a way that they could be easily made into toys and had seams in the places that like needed to be
genuinely less cynical with that.
It
was more we want our characters to be believable as toys, not to be translatable into toys.
And I like looking at like this film as well, Ugly Dolls, because all the character designs are so simple that any like machine shop in Asia somewhere, which is where these toys are being cranked out, can just churn them out.
It's like, oh, I made a mistake. No, you didn't. You just made it even more ugly.
Exactly. You made a new character.
Yeah. There are no factory defects from the Chinese shop floor that makes these things.
They probably are just defects from another factory. Yeah. They like just funneled through a big tunnel somewhere. It's like, yeah, that'll do. Just slap a logo on them. Somewhat, some eyes.
Yeah. Somewhat interestingly, like there's someone there expecting, and they throw away the ones that are too perfect in the conveyor belt. No, sorry, this is too perfect. In the bin you go.
Do you remember that episode of The Simpsons where Moe was just putting googly eyes on oyster shells? This is what that feels like. Just before we move on to our next film, we're just going to sort of give honorable mention to two other animated kids amazing films that are on the way, and that is Wonder Park and Missing Link.
Yeah, so Wonder Park, again, when we're looking through and picking out the kids' films, and normally we struggle to find 3 good trailers, and this week we've got 5 kids' films. This is just so generic. It's a little kid. It looks like the Pixar/DreamWorks computer-generated people. She goes into the forest and finds talking animals that have somehow constructed the theme park from her fantasy, and it's her discovery of regaining her lost innocence, helping magical creatures to defend the park against some sort of evil that's trying to tear it down.
Brought to us by Nickelodeon Films, and they've already said that it's going to be turned into a TV series as well. So they've done the sort of like, we're making a movie and a TV series kind of thing there. And yeah, it's incredibly generic.
Predictable and generic. Hits all the notes that were right for kids' films 15 or 20 years ago. And now you got to be a little bit more original, I feel.
Can I just say though, the cast in Wonder Park, I'm just sort of looking at the list here.
So the only voice I recognised was John Oliver, and he tends to choose very good projects.
Yeah, I know.
And he's more than just a bit role in this as well. He seems to be the second lead animal talking porcupine.
It's bearing the lead in terms of the other actors in this. Let me just go through the list here. We've got Matthew Broderick, Jennifer Garner, Kenan Thompson, Ken Jeong, Mila Kunis, David Cross, Kath Suchi, and Kenan Thompson. Why is he in there twice? Anyway, that's bizarre. That's just like a huge list. And John Oliver as well.
If I had known that this was the list of stars, I'm not sure this would have got an honourable mention. This may have been one of our featured trailers, but
you can't tell. There's there's so many of these actors in there for no good reason.
Yeah.
And like, again, oh man, like the page for it on Wikipedia just lists the actors. It doesn't even tell you what character they're playing. It doesn't even matter. It's just like, they're in the film.
They're in the film. Come and see it.
They're in the film. Just go and see it. And the other film is Missing Link, brought to us by Leica Studios, who did Coraline and the very well-received Kubo
and the Two Strings.
So another stop-motion animated...
I'm not sure it's completely stop-motion animated in so much as it's a 3D rendered style blended with stop-motion that looks like a...
If it was anything like Kubo, it was like 80% stop motion with like 20% CG augmentation.
This looks really good as well. It's sort of takes you on a journey of a Bigfoot style character as he explores the world with an English style explorer type character as they unearth the Yeti and Loch Ness monster and all those sort of cryptids, but done in a very sort of interesting way. I don't know.
I didn't not enjoy this trailer, but also there was nothing much in it that was like, oh, I need to go and see this. So unlike Coraline, which had a really engaging and kind of cool story, and Kubo, which is just phenomenally beautiful to look at as a film, this is more like slapsticky. It's a bit more like silly dumb jokes, butt jokes and is my breath bad kind of jokes, and like it's just a bit silly. So it could be.
I do really like the style though. Like in terms of like that really nice stop motion.
Oh yeah, it's
I feel more empathy with these sort of nice stop motion characters than I do with the beautifully rendered CG people who are supposed to look more like real people, but I just don't believe that they could possibly exist in the world.
Yep. Another huge cast for this film as well: Hugh Jackman, Zoe Saldana, Timothy Olyphant, Emma Thompson, and Zach Galifianakis, and Stephen Fry apparently is in there at some point. Yeah,
he didn't make a mention in the trailer.
No, he did not. But anyway, all right, on to the final trailer for this week's episode, which is Dumbo, starring Colin Farrell, Michael Keaton, Danny DeVito, Eva Green, and directed by the one and only Tim Burton.
Welcome, baby Dumbo. We're all family here, no matter how small.
You have something very rare. You have wonder. You have mystique. You have magic. Wow! Come with me. Together, we can soar on an elephant's wings.
What's happening? Where are they taking her?
Take Dumbo back inside.
But she's his mom. Do something.
Well, it's yet another Disney makes a live-action version of an original animated film.
They're really churning them out.
They really are. They've got Aladdin coming up very, very soon as well, I believe, probably early next year.
Yeah, even like Pete's Dragon got a live-action remake, and that's not even a particularly well-known Disney film.
Yeah, I think they're going for at least like one a year, in the same way that they do for Star Wars and the Marvel films. It's just like churn it out, just get it out there, get one out there, attach a big cast to it and attach a well-known director to it, and somehow magic will happen. And by magic, I mean money.
Yeah, I don't think it's distinguishable in Disney's mind between the two.
Because there is decidedly no magic in this film in terms of it being like something you actually want to see. Maybe I'm being too critical, but like I hated this trailer.
Oh, right, because I mean, I hated the visual style.
Yep.
But there's this moment there where Dumbo's reaching out his trunk and with his mother's trunk who's locked in a train carriage, and my heart just went, oh god, a baby animal and a mother animal. Damn you, this thing that I don't want to watch has already elicited more emotion from me than anything else.
I'm with you on animal emotion kind of stuff. I totally agree with that. But when it's like a creepily rendered CGI elephant, I really don't care.
It is quite creepy. Its eyes are huge and wide apart.
Yep.
And it's playing on the big sort of like neophyte. Anyway, there's a way of describing features that are very baby-like and childlike that elicit that sort of like emotional response for you.
Yep.
But this is taking it to a level like it's just a tad too creepy.
It's like, do you remember that trailer for, I think it's called Alita Battle Angel, where it's just like, it looks like a real person, but they've made her eyes super huge.
Like a manga character.
And she just looks creepy as a result. This is like that because the elephant is otherwise like realistically proportioned and has realistic features like a ton of wrinkles, like little bits of hair, has like, again, it's a realistic looking elephant for the most part, except for its giant eyes and its giant ears that it can flap around like a bird's wings.
General idea from Disney that an elephant could fly using its ears is probably a bit of a bridge too far. Maybe it works when it's like a cell animated drawing because that doesn't have too much weight. But when you see this thing that looks like a mass, I'm like, oh, there's what? Where's the bones in the ears? Where's the musculature to be able to flap it like that?
I think we also need to talk about the production design of this film as well, which is, insane CG, over the top, nothing shot for real, basically, as is like Tim Burton's style these days.
Yeah.
The kind of like Alice in Wonderland template where most of the soundstage is green or blue.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. They do a lot of work building these nice sort of big top tents. Yeah. And then as soon as there's sky, it just looks like
super
computer
fake,
rendered and fake and awful. Tim Burton did Big Fish, didn't he?
Yes, he did,
This has a very Big Fish kind of vibe to it. And I think Danny DeVito is also playing a circus ringleader like he did in Big Fish, except... it doesn't have any of the heart. Obviously, bringing back more characters. Michael Keaton shows up.
It's a Batman reunion.
It is a Batman reunion. Oh, it is. I forgot that Danny DeVito was the Penguin.
Yeah.
There you go. Danny DeVito versus Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
Only, I think, from the looks of it, Danny DeVito is supposed to be the good guy. In
Danny
this.
DeVito's like the unassuming ringleader who's sort of like nice and friendly, whereas Michael Keaton's playing, I think, the circus owner.
Yeah.
Who's a bit of like a hardline, my way or the highway, kind of like, I don't want to say like it's the kind of like evil cartoon villain version of Walt Disney.
Yes.
As opposed to the actual Walt Disney or the Walt Disney that Disney likes you to think of. And yeah, he's playing a real smarmy asshole in this one. Anyway, that's Dumbo. See that in 2019. And those are the 3 trailers, well, 3 and a bit. 3 and 2 others. 5 trailers.
3.2. I don't know how you do decimal points with trailers.
3.2 trailers for this week's episode. But of course, before we can do anything with those, we're going to have to take a little walk over to the green room. Let's have a quick recap of this week's trailers.
We have a CGI / live action blend of a beloved video game of the 90s.
Yep.
We have a full of pop stars and musical, sickly sweet product CGI
adaptation of a popular children's toy line.
Children's toy line indeed. We'll do honorable mention sort of... Wonder Park I'm not going to mention because that's just a kid's CGI film.
Yep.
Missing Link has stop motion elements, which I really do quite like. And then this is also, strangely enough, quite similar to Pokemon, which is a live action / CG remake of a beloved, classic Disney film or classic animated film.
Yes, indeed. I think it's my turn to pick, but I don't think there's any point picking something this week. We're going to be making a beloved children's animated classic. Doesn't need to be something that came before.
No.
But it could be.
It will be.
Okay. And obviously we can also choose to adapt anything. It doesn't matter what it is. We can say it could be easier to adapt something that's already out there in terms of a product and just turn it into a film. Because then we don't have to worry about like research and development and like farming out to factories to make these products. We'll just talk to the owners of whatever product we choose and say, hey, how would you like us to make a film about your product? And they'll obviously say, well, yeah, absolutely we do. And we'll make it.
So, I mean, it does beg the question, which style of animation we're going down?
Yep.
Is there live action elements which we've blended in with computer generation?
Yep.
Are we going with some stop motion sort of elements?
I think we need to do all of them.
Right, but is it I mean, Dumbo and Pokemon are mainly real world environments with things.
Yep.
Can we stop motion things into that real world environment?
Absolutely can, in the way that they used to do it back in the old
like Ray
Harryhausen style.
Jason and the Argonauts and Clash of the Titans.
But see, they were making those in the 30s and 40s. Like, surely the technology for doing life-size stop-motion animated films would be greatly increased.
Like literally the armature that they put inside these puppets for these like Aardman style things are the same armature that they used in the 30s. Literally, the ball and socket joint technology has not changed at all.
Actually, the main problem with doing stop motion animated in that kind of scale is that Motion blur doesn't work because you're shooting each frame at a time, so you don't get that natural blurring of frames as something goes past it, and that's what makes it look super fake. So we either adopt that like aesthetic as a creative choice a la Tim Burton, or we don't do it at all. Or we fake it. We fake it.
We could always, I mean, not really rehashing our own work, The Curious Flight of the Hymenopteryx.
Yes.
We did full-scale marionette puppets.
Yeah, we did.
Live-action marionette full-scale puppets. I think this has a little bit of an element to that.
Yep.
And I'm sure there's some technology that we invented for that which could come
we
through
should,
as well.
absolutely. But I think it also needs to be based on whatever the film is about. I think that will dictate the kind of technology we use. The first thing that sprung to my mind as a product that we should make a film of is matchsticks.
Matchsticks? I thought you were going to say Matchbox Cars, because that's got a much more toy tie-in that hasn't really seen before.
This is what you're missing here. You're missing the new market that you can open up for matchsticks. The children. If you make a beloved kids animated classic out of a product not necessarily marketed towards children, you can now market it towards children. Is it bad that we're marketing matchsticks, though?
I think so.
From a safety perspective.
As much as I, like the challenge of defending cases in court, little Timmy who burnt his hands off playing with matches in the backyard. But I do like the idea of maybe going back to a simpler time.
Yep.
Maybe taking the ball in a cup. Maybe taking the hoop and a stick.
Yep.
The kind of
classic
toys
toys.
classic toys that you don't see so much anymore.
Yep.
And because these, I don't know if they have copyright lapsing on ideas like that. The yo-yo, these are things that have been around for ages, aren't quite so popular anymore.
Yep.
Maybe we can get in a good deal and start
scoop them up
and put them into a film.
Yeah, that's what we can do. And what we'll do, we have to rebrand all of these toys as well, so they can't just be the original cup and ball as you remember it. No, we need to put googly eyes on it, give it a personality of some kind, maybe make it furry. Some of them just have fur for some reason, but they still operate like the original toys. So what if it's like a monster island where it's populated by all these odd looking monsters that just happen to look like classic kids toys, like the cup and ball monster, which would be like a ice cream cone shaped monster with eyes on it, and then it would have like a springy kind of string connecting it to its eyeball.
So then, is it deliberately like an Island of Misfit Toys style of this is where old toys have gone to because they know and people have forgot about them, and they have evolved and mutated into these creatures.
They have mutated and evolved into these creatures. They've been thrown out as the original toys, and over time and through magical evolutionary processes, they've grown fur, they've adapted to their environment, they've become sentient, they've been able to move around. I don't know how Cup and Ball would move around though.
I think maybe like it throws the ball like a little grappling hook and it latches onto something and it pulls itself along, and then it throws the ball and latches on and pulls itself along.
Cool. So the hula hoop also does the same thing, but I like the idea that the hula hoop has like two sets of eyes on the top, and it has to roll everywhere to get anywhere. It just gets dizzy all the time. Just keeps getting dizzy, can never like... And then if it falls over as well, that's it.
Yeah.
It can't go any further. All right. I'm liking where this is going. What other classic toys can we bring in here?
I've said three, and I've literally tapped out my ideas.
Slinky. No, we can't do Slinky because like Toy Story ripped that off.
I also think as though Slinky may be copyrighted.
The Rubik's Cube.
I think that's probably a bit too modern. I think we're going back to like the 1880s. What are the kids playing with then?
Okay, like a couple of the jacks, like pick up the jacks things.
Yeah, pick up sticks. Yep. The dominoes. I think probably. Why not? I think we're getting a bit too board gamey here, but why not?
Yeah. Okay. Great. Let's think who is our main set of toys that we're going to follow.
I reckon. So what we have to do here is. Maybe you have these like yo-yo.
Yep.
Yo-yo is one of the oldest toys. It's like 4,000 years old.
Yep.
And it's the wise old sage. And then as toys have come and gone and been forgotten, they've moved to this place. So I actually watched a really interesting YouTube documentary about a board game from Mesopotamia that no one plays anymore because backgammon came along, and backgammon was like that was better.
Yeah.
And so that board games goes like no one really plays dominoes anymore. And so what's like the most recent game which was popular that no one really plays anymore? Because you could even have like the Atari, right? The Atari shows up after a while because it's now moving into there, and the Atari is sort of sitting there. It hasn't quite gained sentience yet. So ball in a cup and
see, this is what this film needs to be about. We need to use all the toys that either fell out of popularity or were like so defective and so like dangerous for kids back in the day that they just were like no longer sold.
There's the antagonist of the story,
like
the dangerous toys, the fireworks, the
shoes with springs on them that
pogo stick
pogo
is
sticks,
a good one. The trampolines that are still used today that cause more broken bones in kids than any other toy.
They use all the modern like safety trampolines now that don't have springs in them or anything like that. But we're talking about like the original rusty crappy trampolines.
The need a tetanus shot when you fall.
Yeah, exactly. So this film is going to be about the uprising of the rejected, the too dangerous, the unsafe toys that have been like thrown into a giant trash island somewhere, a la like Isle of Dogs, the Wes Anderson animated film. They've just been dumped on an island somewhere, and they all like evolve over time, gain sentience, and then they're like, that's it. It's time for revenge. Our time to be played with is now, and we're marching back to the mainland.
Yeah.
To stake our claim.
Is this then also a social commentary on like kids playing too many Fortnites?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And like, they should go outside and play with these dangerous rusty springs. It's so much safer out there.
It's even better as well. But I think that like if we do something like Fortnite, because Fortnite involves like jumping like on spring traps which launch you up into the air and you parachute down from, it's a very dangerous, like if you took that into the real world, it's super dangerous. But I like the idea that kids are getting inspired by like the crazy stunts you can do in Fortnite. They come out, all these rejected toys are there and they can now live out their Fortnite fantasies.
Okay, but are the kids getting damaged?
Oh, of course they are.
This is supposed to be like a thing, maybe we should go outside and play, but like almost what we're suggesting is no, actually stay inside. It's so much it's safer in there.
Well, I don't know. This is where do we want to go from here?
It's true. It really depends who gives us enough money. Whether we're going to get the money from the toys that we get to market or whether Activision's going to subtly slip us a check for $2 million.
But like I said, this is the best part of it, right? We go and find all those rejected like toys that were banned and taken from store shelves because they were too dangerous. We just modify them slightly, add in some googly eyes, we add in some like a new paint job or whatever to match the ones that we're putting into the film. We just resell them. There'd be tons of stock of it because none of them sold in the first place.
There used to be a game called Lawn Darts, which is just like literally like foot-long darts which you threw up in the air and tried to hit a target that laid down. Oddly enough, throwing sharp objects, very heavy sharp objects in the air, it resulted in several injuries. So,
oh my god, oh man. I'm trying to think of like rejected toys. I mean, there's been a ton of them over the years. Just like stuff that like electrocutes you. There's like those they sold them a few years ago. They're like those skill testing toys, which like genuinely shock you as well when you get them wrong.
Right.
They're like the Operation game, but like if you touch the edge, it's not just like a nice
Pavlovian Operation game.
It actually shocks you. We just have to churn through the history books, find the rejected toys, or we make our own. Like we could also do that, and then resell them, reskin them, resell them. And then it doesn't matter if they get recalled or banned. We've already made the money off it.
Exactly. I was about to say we need a bit of a story for this one, and then I realized, no, we don't. We absolutely don't need so much more. What we need is a cast of characters that can sing and dance with poppy music to mask over the fact that we don't know what the moral of the story is. Is it go outside and play, or is it stay inside where it's safe? Is it that things that are forgotten do still have value, or is it things that are forgotten have been forgotten for a reason because they're incredibly dangerous?
Doesn't matter.
It really doesn't matter.
It depends who's watching it. If we're watching it, it's definitely these things matter. If it's anyone else, it's these things should have died because they're very dangerous. But yeah, I agree. We need a nice little sort of like random cast. There can be like a whole bunch of background toys and stuff that wage war on, or like they invade the mainland, but we can trawl through how like Wreck-It Ralph just sort of pulls out a whole bunch of video game characters. We'll do something like that.
But so long as we don't have to pay licensing on any
No, we won't have to. Like, all these toys are rejected. Most of the companies are dead. They won't have patents for them anymore. We'll just, pick them up from, I don't know.
I had this, do you remember X-ray specs that you could get? Like, also, I'm fairly sure the advertising for that was incredibly sexist and misogynistic in a way that, like, in today's political climate, just would not fly at all. I think X-Ray Specs has just got completely ostracized by the rejected toy group.
X-Ray Specs is definitely on that island, and that's where they should stay.
And
but we... Okay. All right, so like let's figure out who I like Cup and Ball. Cup and Ball as well feels like a toy that is probably a bit dangerous because the original Cup and Balls weren't just like, I think like the current ones just use a foam ball or a like a wooden mallet or a wooden cone.
Yeah.
So if you like fling that ball around and it hits someone, it doesn't matter because you won't feel it. It's just a soft thing. But the original Cup and Ball is like this hard, like rubber, super.
I think wood.
Yeah, it was wood actually.
I reckon it would double as like a Morningstar style mace. If your little kid brother is annoying you, this toy is not a toy anymore. It becomes a weapon.
Yeah, that's right. And it was the original cone shape with a pointy end at the bottom as well, which was super sharp for no reason. So like, original Cup and Ball is sort of like really annoyed at like modern Cup and Ball, which is just like a nice soft round edge cup with a foam ball and string that is fluffy and cannot be used possibly to choke someone with it. And it's just like, I think we need to give it like a super gruff, like hard ass Liam Neeson style voice to suggest that it is like the original take no prisoners kind of character.
So then he's not the lead, right? Liam Neeson's gruff is not. He's not the lead. He's the embittered offside. I'm happy. I'm happy for Liam Neeson to be Cup and Ball.
Okay,
I think that works nicely. Then Hula Hoop needs to be that kind of more free-spirited kind of lackadaisical kind of kind of
spinning around and perpetually.
Who has
dizzy.
more energy, like a dizzying amount of energy? How do you keep that up? Kind of.
Mindy Kaling, I think, should play the hula.
Yeah, all right. She can do that sort of like Valley Girl kind of ditzy kind of.
Yeah, because like the heyday of the hula hoop was like the 80s, wasn't it? Like
no,
but it came back
more
in the
like
80s.
the 60s, I reckon. I think anyway.
It came back in the 80s.
And then I think also the 1860s as well. And probably the 1460s in, I assume it is from Hawaii based on the name, maybe? Who knows?
I feel that that's like a Mattel marketing campaign there.
Sure.
Like, I think hula hoop is like Glad Wrap in that it should have a trademark at the end of it as not actually the name of that product.
And like before that, it was just hoop.
Yeah.
What is it used for? Anything you want. Skipping rope. We forgot skipping rope.
Oh, skipping. But people still play with skipping rope.
I suppose they do a little bit.
Skipping rope has like sporty kind of, like it's actually useful.
Yeah, for boxers and
and
little girls.
And little Exactly. So no, we can't do skipping rope. Hula hoop's fine. I think pogo stick or
pogo
like
stick's very
space
good.
boots, like boots with springs on the end.
Springy
of them.
boots. Is pogo stick then the protagonist, or do we not really have a clear protagonist? It's more of like an ensemble
No,
cast?
I like the idea of a protagonist. I like the idea of an uprising coming from one person or one thing that then inspires everyone else. So like how Woody is like.
Yeah, okay. I think pogo stick's probably our Woody style character.
Yep. And who should play pogo stick? Female, male, doesn't really matter. What kind of... Actually, let's figure out what type of character they are. Are they, like, embittered, or are they more like, it's our time, let's do this again, everyone is equal and no one is a reject here?
Yeah.
So they're more, like, blindingly optimistic to the fact that they're incredibly dangerous and
so
should be rejected?
the Amy Poehler joy kind of blindingly optimism from Inside Out.
From Inside Out.
I
Why
like
don't we just get Amy Poehler then?
Possibly. I was having flashes of Kristen Bell as well.
She'd be great.
I mean, someone of that ilk. I think they've probably signed exclusivity deals with Disney at the moment for Frozen / Inside Out.
Probably. Is Kristen Bell in? Oh, she's
Frozen.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
she's
never seen Frozen.
Right. Someone of that sort of that ilk.
Of that ilk. What about Reese Witherspoon?
That's all right.
Yeah,
I'm fairly sure she's been released from her contract on Monsters vs. Aliens. They're not planning on doing any sequels.
I forgot
on that
about
one.
that film. Yeah, Reese Witherspoon. I think she's got that kind of. We'll get her to play sort of the Legally Blonde style.
I think she's probably a bit more fierce and. I mean, I suppose
Yeah?
Legally Blonde is quite fierce and determined.
Yep.
But I think while if we're doing hula hoop as being a bit more ditzy, pogo stick is a bit more action driven, a bit more. This is what we need to do. Determination to her. So
maybe a combination between Reese Witherspoon in Legally Blonde and Reese Witherspoon in that film where she goes for a long walk. What was it called?
I wanted to say Into the Wild, but it might just be called Wild.
I think it might be just called Wild. So we'll just say like somewhere in between there, just like 50-50, call it even.
All right, cool. And I think the last one we need is the wizened old yo-yo.
Yep.
Someone who has... I don't want to cast Ken Watanabe because he's the wizened old sagely person in all of these films.
Yep. And I also don't want to cast like Morgan Freeman.
Or Ian McKellen. It's too played out.
What about Kelsey Grammer?
Kelsey Grammer?
Oh, no, he's locked to Disney.
He was with the Avengers or...
I forgot about that. He was the prospector in Toy Story 2
He
as well.
was, yeah. It's amazing how all of these big name actors, I don't think we can name a single one who hasn't also done
I know,
a number of kids' films.
Or some form of Disney film as well. Who's got nice gravitas as an actor?
Can we get Neil deGrasse Tyson to do it?
We probably could. He's a terrible actor, by the way, but yes,
he
why
just
not?
just needs that deep, authoritative voice, and everyone just sort of believes what he says.
Yep. He's a bad actor in a way that's like intentionally bad, I guess.
Yeah, we've really missed a trick here because
Yep.
I'm not sure any of these guys can sing harmony with each other.
We're doing a musical
as they release.
Doesn't you know what we do? We do the sound-alikes. You know how like for the original animated version of Aladdin, it's totally like there's a voice for the speaking role and there's a voice for the singing role, and they're not the same. So we just get singing sound-alikes for Neil deGrasse Tyson, Reese Witherspoon, Liam Neeson, and Mindy Kaling.
Do we then have to cast? I can't name 5 musical artists. I'm so sorry.
We don't know. We don't need to. I mean, it depends. Do we want to make them sound like the original actors?
Not really.
Or we just don't care. We just get like
whoever we can contract.
Whoever we can contract.
So long as they give us like a top 20 song. We talked about a film a number of weeks ago with Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga in it called A Star Is Born.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's like ridiculously good,
blowing up. Yeah.
And one of the songs from it is doing well in the charts. Yep. We need that. We need that cash grab.
Yeah, we do.
Indira Mendel or whatever who did the Let It Go was like number 1 on the charts for weeks. There was a song from Moana which did well in the charts. This is our opportunity to do it.
We need to. It's the song that makes you go see the movie that makes you buy the toys.
Yes,
that's the cyclical like loop there. So let's get one of the Jonas Brothers. Because
the one
the one that's not in anything.
Exactly, because Nick Jonas apparently is too popular.
Yep.
Joe Jonas, I want to say, is another one of them.
Really?
And let's just say the one who was not Nick or Joe, and we're not even going to bother to do the research to find out what his name is. He's the one who gets to do the sound-alike.
The other Jonas brother will be one of the sound-alikes.
I think there's also a really good opportunity here to mix up genres as well.
Yep.
So like we get Keith Urban in, and Keith Urban's doing the sound-alike to Liam Neeson, and we draw in the country music crowd in that one.
Do we get him to do like a Scottish accent as well?
I don't think we even bother. No one's going to notice.
Yep.
And then what's another genre of music where we can draw people in from?
We need rap. We need sort of like R&B and rap, I guess.
Yeah, sure. Drake.
Eminem.
Drake can be the sound-alike for Mindy Kaling.
Yep.
So that's fine. We'll get that subset of music music in.
Reese Witherspoon. Rock. We need to bring in some
rock.
rock.
Who's doing like rock these days?
Not many.
I almost said Kings of Leon. That shows how much I've got my finger on the pulse. They probably haven't released an album for 11 years.
It doesn't even need to be a female singer.
I probably should be.
I was just going to say Foo Fighters.
Are there any female rock bands?
There's what's her face? Joan Jett is doing a lot of like every time. So the Foo Fighters are starting to do Nirvana covers now.
Yeah.
And every time they do Smells Like Teen Spirit, they get Joan Jett to sing it.
Okay.
And she sounds fine as like
that's good.
As a sort of
Joan Jett is
Kurt
Reese
Cobain.
Witherspoon's sound-alike.
Yeah, backed by the Foo Fighters.
Yes, and all we need now is a Neil deGrasse Tyson type.
What music though do we want? Do we want something from like the classical world?
Classical music? We could. I mean, I suppose. I was sort of thinking the Aretha Franklin sort of like
soul.
60s soul.
Yep.
But all the people I can think of tragically aren't like James Brown. I'm like Barry White. No, he can't do it. Isaac Hayes, I'm pretty sure is gone.
Bette Midler.
Bette Midler.
She's a good show tunesy.
All right, so we're doing a bit more sort of show. Like it just needs to be powerful. I think Bette Midler can pull that off as well.
Did you ever know that you're my hero style?
Yeah, you're the wind beneath my wings.
Wind beneath my wings.
You're the spring beneath my springs. Sure. Is that the name of the song as well?
I think it's Wind Beneath My Wings.
No. The name of the song from our film is The Spring Beneath My Springs. Is that really
in reference to Cowboy the Space Boots?
So it is the jumping boots on the pogo stick.
Yeah.
So you are the spring beneath my springs.
That's it. Yeah, and they have like a nice little romantic moment together under the moonlight.
Exactly.
As they're like bouncing all across this like deserted island, and I like to think that they're damaging themselves as well while they're doing it because like. they're not safe to children and they're not safe to themselves, but they don't care.
Yeah.
Like they just don't care.
All right, the last thing that we need to come up with here is a name for this film. Yeah.
See, the problem is like the name has been like the Island of Misfit Toys
is a thing.
Such a good name for this film, but it is already a thing. What are we going to call it? Do we need to reference the uprising? Do we need to reference the...
I think it's more to do with the forgotten nature of the toys.
Yep.
Unforgotten? That sounds like Unforgiven. I don't want Clint Eastwood to show up with a gun and start killing people.
Do we need to get Clint Eastwood to just direct this film? Then?
Oh, I don't know. He'd probably put too many unrealistic babies in there. Which, to be fair, like forgotten toys, forgotten dolls, sure. Yeah. I don't know. What do we... So there's toys, there's playtime.
What? How about we just call it recall? Like, you know when toys, when stuff gets like products get like banned, maybe they get recalled. So something like
product recall.
Product.
It does sound like too much like Total Recall now.
I'm just gonna say,
defective. No. What was the ugly dolls thing called? It's just called Ugly Dolls.
Called Ugly Dolls.
Broken toys, like forgotten toys.
The forgotten toys. The recalled toys.
Because Ball and a Cup wasn't really recalled, was it? I think Forgotten Toys is where...
No, but specific versions of Cup and Ball were recalled, though. So, like, the general idea of Cup and Ball continues, but, like, the version of Cup and Ball was like a hard wooden ball with a spiky cone at the bottom. That was recalled because too dangerous for kids.
So we go with recalled toys.
The recalled toys.
And there's an element there of like they're being recalled into society as well. So
called back into action as well, military-wise, as they march back onto the mainland to seek revenge and playtime.
All right, we can make that work. The recalled toys.
Yeah, and I think the tagline is seeking revenge and playtime.
Yeah, and so there's a nice blend of most of the toys are actually physical toys that we've stop motion animated, but when they get it back into the real world, they sort of interact more with a live action cast.
Yeah. So like Toy Story, they don't they're not alive when there's humans around.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So like I think what needs to happen is like, you know how like the classic sort of Christmas morning style, like kids open the doors and they go outside, it's beautiful like snowy day, and there's just all these new toys out in the street, and they've just all arrived back onto the mainland. They're not alive because there's humans around, and then like the kids open their doors on Christmas Day, all these brand new reject toys are there, and they start playing with them, and then the film just ends with the sounds of like kids screaming in terror and pain.
Sure, perfect. And that is the recalled toys.
The recalled toys, directed by Clint Eastwood. And starring a cavalcade of stars with
a cavalcade of voice-alikes.
Cavalcade of like singing voice-alikes that sound nothing like them. Bette Midler playing Neil deGrasse Tyson.
It works. You'll see it. It'll work.
It'll come through in the edit.
When she sings "You Are the Spring Beneath My Springs."
All right, I think that's a wrap. Housekeeping as per usual. We are online at moviefilmstudios.net, where you can find all of our previous episodes, our bios, and Mufuzawidda, which stands for
Movie Film Studios Workshop Digital Distribution Platform?
No, Workshop Digital Distribution.
I forgot the double digital.
Yeah.
I once remember rebuking you for forgetting the double digital, and here I am 12 months later.
Yep. And the P is silent in Mufuzawidda. So that's how that works. And that is a database of the films that we've created on this podcast. Search Facebook for Movie Film Studios and join the community where we post clues as to the trailers that we've watched in upcoming episodes. Pokemon, Ugly Dolls, Missing Link, Wonder Park, and Dumbo. Dumbo might be all right.
That's all right. I really the anagram and Google Translate options to
That's true.
It does make it
does
significant.
Work for you.
Yeah, I mean, but having 5 trailers this week means I'm either have to double up on one of those or come up with original ways of jumbling and cluing you into what films we've watched. Who'll know?
Who knows? And if you'd like to artificially inflate the amount of listens that we get on the podcast, then have a listen to the podcast on Apple iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, YouTube, any other place that you get podcasts, and our website.
If you sync it up on all of your devices, you get this really nice Dolby 7.1 surround.
Particularly if you position them in 7 different positions, sort of surrounding you, it's great. It's like our voices are coming from 7 different positions.
All around you.
And I think that's it.
All that remains is to thank you once again for listening this week. I've been Isaac.
And I've been AJ.
Roll credits.